Hi, Pastor Robin Veltkamp here, and just doing workshop 1.2 and going over the questions of the people I had communication with. I spoke with a fellow pastor, and we've worked church camps together, and trust his opinions, and he was one of those that I interviewed. I also interviewed, I am bivocational, so I also interviewed a co-worker who was a youth in the church when I was a youth sponsor many years ago, and now she's a colleague of mine in our work field. And we do a lot of traveling and working together. And then I also asked a niece in the family to kind of give me a perspective. So what I was trying to do is tap into the multifacets of my life and see how these questions fleshed out in the various components. So the first question I asked was, do you believe I listen intently during conversations, or do I appear to be jumping into the conversations at times that seem inappropriate? I know personally I struggle sometimes with when someone is talking, I'm processing my answer, and sometimes I fear that I may be jumping in and not really listening. And so that was an important question for me to see how others perceive that. The other pastor said that he did not believe that I jumped in inappropriately, but that I was able to carry on continued communication. My coworker said that she felt I listened intently, but she wanted to remind me that there's always room for improvement, and that I think she was trying to be gracious. It's a different kind of work environment. We do a lot of medical consulting and conferences, and so we do need to listen to the clients. And so that's the area and the arena she sees me in. Now, the niece stated that she feels I listen well, and she shared a time when she felt I really intently listened. And her brother was dating a girl that came from a non-Christian background, and my niece was having concerns about what kind of relationship would they have, and because their father's a pastor and they've been in the church. And so I listened, and then I shared my childhood, and she learned through that people can come from different backgrounds, but when God changes us, we're transformed, and that people from non-Christian upbringings can be used for his work. And she remembered that, and that's probably been 12 or 15 years ago we had this conversation. I had personally forgotten about it, but apparently my listening and feedback, she felt that I listened to her heart in that conversation. The next question I had was, have you encountered a time when I should have said no, or I should have said I'm not available? And instead, I responded with yes, or okay, I can do that. Now, I know personally I am very guilty of this. I will sacrifice myself to keep peace, to make things well with people, and to just get the job done. And so I was kind of curious as to how my people that I was interviewing would sees me in the same arena. And they pretty much said the same thing that I already knew. The former pastor said, big yes. He actually knows that I work in the secular world too, and I had been full-time, and when it was supposed to be an 80-hour pay period for 2 weeks, I was putting in 106. I burned out. I went part-time. I'm supposed to work 20, and his actual statement was, you are only supposed to be working 20 hours a week in your secular job, and you typically work up to 40 on a regular basis. You're supposed to be part-time, but you keep allowing them to add more tasks and travel onto your schedule. And then his statement was, it appears to me that sometimes you think you can do it all, and you do. However, sometimes you find that you have to surround yourself with people to help bail you out when you really can't fulfill the commitment. And so he kind of busted me a little bit on that, but I wasn't surprised. And he did it with the greatest intention of love. Now, my coworker said that she has noticed there's times when my heart is more willing to take on a great deal of task, and my heart is willing to do it even though my time may not allow it. And I don't like to tell anyone no, which she sees as a somewhat of a good quality for everybody else, but it's not healthy for me. She says, I have worked very closely with you for quite some time, both professionally and personally, and I noticed that it can be difficult for you to want to accept that you have human limits. I've always kind of been a superwoman kind of thing, and at my own cost, and it's pretty much been reflected. And she said, I have a very kind heart, and I'm always willing to go the extra mile. And she sees it as a true servant's heart, and she sees the visibility of just wanting to serve. She appreciates the way I am, but she is always concerned about my health and how much more can I give. And she reminded me in our conversation that time is a gift, and I need to know that my own needs are important and not just taking care of the needs of others. She did emphasize that I was a great leader, and I was willing to be the first one to grab on and hold on to the baton and take it to wherever distance needed to be taken to get the results done. But she reminded me also that I need to learn to hand the baton off a little bit quicker sometimes for my own sake, and that I need to rest and recuperate. She did say one thing. She goes, I work hard and I play hard and I live hard. And she meant that in the most loving way, is I just give it my all. And I forget to take care of myself, though. The niece said that I always give of myself and to others, even if it tires me out. And she said, I think that at times that I get overwhelmed with taking care of so many people that I forget to take care of myself. And I feel that that's very true. There have been times where I've just felt that I've been so many things to so many people that I forgot who I was. My other question is, have you witnessed me avoiding conflict when I should have dealt with the issue? And this was kind of a mixed. The pastor at camp said yes. There was times when my kitchen staff would go off on their own, and I should have probably put a stop to it, but instead, to save the atmosphere of the work for everyone else in the camp kitchen, I just let them go, and I would pick up the workload. Once again, taking on the responsibility and not making conflict. My coworker said that sometimes she sees the wisdom in avoiding conflict. She does see me speak up at times, maybe not as often as I should, and that not to be hard on myself when I do speak up, because that is one thing she's very correct about, is when I do speak up, then I kind of beat myself up afterwards. Was I too harsh? And the niece said that I do tend to avoid conflict in the family. She sees sometimes where I'll withdraw, I'll create my own space for protection. Sometimes I appear to be the victim in the situation so that I can avoid the conflict. But then sometimes people read that differently. It's not withdrawing, but more victim, and then they tend to attack more. And she encouraged me that I need to use more wisdom and stand up to the people in the family and voice my opinion and my concerns. And then my last question is, how do you recommend that I learn to have a healthier relationship with others? And the pastor told me that I need to take care of myself physically and mentally so that I don't get worn out to the point where I might not think straight, or I may become easily perturbed. I'm going to jump to the niece. She said it reminded me it's okay to take care of myself, because if I don't take care of myself, I won't be there to take care of others. And I don't have to forfeit for others all the time, and it's okay to say no. The one that was really interesting was my coworker. And it was a little bit of an ouch, but it was a lot of truth, I have to admit. And she encouraged me to keep listening and asking questions, and that I need to show my continued interest in what others are saying. And even though I might be able to relate to their situation, I need to learn that it's not always necessary for me to tell them how I relate. And so she felt that that would strengthen relationships, not to just try to connect with, okay, I relate and here's how we relate, but just listen and allow that relationship to grow more naturally. So those are the questions. Those are some areas of learning. And I think it was all done with love, and the responses were out of love, and I trust their opinions. And now I just need to take this and move it forward and get healthier and do some self care.